Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of It's Me, Not You. I am joined by my fantastic co host. Hello, Jake.
Hello, chickies.
Hello, Melissa.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. So, today we are going to start talking about the topic of being your authentic self. This was a topic that was brought to us by Melissa. So, I am going to tee this off to Melissa because, yes, I am watching golf. Melissa, when you hear authentic self, yeah, guys, I like golf. Okay. I like it.
I like to play it.
We're
Let's play it.
multifaceted.
Oh my
Right?
God, we're so talented. I just had like that. I'm sorry, this is off topic. That Pedro Pascal, he was on SNL and he totally changed his voice. He's like, girls, guys. Oh my God. Anyway, Melissa, when you hear about being your authentic self, what comes to mind?
What a paradigm. So I think it's difficult for any of us to really know what our authentic self is. You
Mhm.
know, that what's the version of ourselves that we truly know, which is we're always discovering. I feel like I will never know myself because I keep evolving and changing.
Mm.
But to be authentic is being honest with yourself about who you are, what you
Mhm.
want, where you're going, your emotions, your feelings, like all of it, and being able to stand with power in your truth. And I think that that is one of the most difficult things with being authentic. You
Mhm.
know, I know we hear the phrase of what masks do we wear, that we're not the same person, you know, at work or at home or, you know, with a close friend or, you know, there's many layers of that. But I think at the core, it's all, are you being authentic? You
Mhm.
know, when you're around people, maybe they're talking bad about others. I don't really like gossip at all. So I'll be like, ooh, look at this picture of Maggie, you know, but then being authentic, I should be saying, hey, knock it off. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
like this isn't a good conversation. I just try to steer it. So I really think that that's the biggest thing, is being able to stand with your power, that solar plexus, sacral chakra type of a thing, into who are you? What are you being? What do you
Mhm.
like? What are you passionate about? You know, I think those are all really good meditative questions and things for you to really start to understand who you are.
And for you, Jake, when you hear about being your authentic self, what comes to mind for you?
Um, what comes to mind for me, God, there's so many different
I
directions,
know.
but I just think like on the subject of authentic self in general, I just think that it's an interesting way to, I don't know what my alternative phrase would be for that, authentic self, because it almost seems as if like there is a finished version that
Mm.
like we're chasing after, or that we're trying to like loop around this labyrinth of life to find.
Yeah.
And it really is much more of like a learning journey, because I mean, your authentic self, what you think your authentic self is now could be completely different in 10 years.
Absolutely.
What we think that we are or are not changes all the time. And I think that I don't know what the term I would prefer would be, to be quite honest,
It
but
is
I
kind of a
think
hard term. It's almost like you're boxing yourself in by saying, what's your most authentic self?
yeah, it's really curious. It seems very definite,
Mm.
when we put it in a word like that. So finding authentic self, I mean, for me in my practice, it's really just about kind of spending time with myself to check in, ask
Hmm.
myself questions of, where am I in this whole journey? What do I want? Who am I? Who do I want to become? What do I want to let go of? What do I want to bring in? Um, I know. Did you see that too with the camera?
Yeah. Melissa was like, gone and I'm back. She's
That
being
was
her
so funny.
authentic self.
Frozen, I'm like, is that mine?
So
Or
interesting.
I love it. I mean,
um,
go ahead, Jake.
yeah, so it's interesting. So authentic self, and I think that when we talk about it in terms of, in literature, when we are reading self-help books or when we're in workshops, I think that authentic self can easily kind of become like almost like a blanketed ideal,
Hmm.
where we should all kind of be striving to be like a similar incarnation of this personality set
Hmm.
or quality of life set or qualities of personality. And I mean, I really just like to kind of approach self-development and self-help and healing as kind of being like, listen, I am who I am today, and I'm very different than I was yesterday. God, what is that Lewis Carroll quote? From Alice in Wonderland. I can't. There's no use going back to yesterday. I'm a completely different person now.
Yeah, it's true.
Um, So it's we're all just beautiful, gorgeous, sexy onions, and we're always peeling back the layers.
And sometimes you cry.
Sometimes you cry, and then
Yeah.
sometimes you just feel like you've got imposter syndrome and that you don't know who you are today,
Yeah.
or you don't know where you want to go. And I think that it's okay to have this kind of spiral, um infinite loop of always asking, who am I, where am I, what do I want to become,
Mhm.
instead of kind of putting that kind of, I would almost even argue, like, impossible expectation
Yeah.
to meet this golden standard, that we always talk about. It's what even is authentic self? Like, we have to get into that on, like, more of a meta level. Like, what does that mean, and what does that mean more specifically to
Mhm.
everybody else? You know?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And I think for maybe in this discussion, for us is choosing to be the version of ourselves that we feel most aligned with.
Yeah.
And like you said, we're always evolving, and who we were yesterday, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it may not be the same version of ourselves that we are in this current moment of now. But it's also like, I think, honoring the aspects of ourselves that, maybe we're maybe not as comfortable with. Like, I maybe a couple years ago wouldn't be as open with saying, yes, I am somebody who suffers from depression. And
Mhm.
now I honor that because it's part of my authentic truth and it's my authentic self. It's also, I feel like when I want to live, it's almost like being the favorite version of yourself, and I'm going to try to strive to be the best version of myself. And maybe not every day is going to be a winner. Maybe some days I'm not going to be the best version of myself, but it's also kind of turning off the noise of other people's expectations and other people's judgments and perceived realities of who I am supposed to be as a person. And I shared this with Melissa and Jake. I made the decision last year now that I was going to honor myself as a spiritual healer and teacher, and I wasn't going to hide that aspect of myself anymore. I used to be very cautious with what I posted on Facebook because I didn't want people to judge that version of me, but I'm like, no, this is who I am as a person, and that's my truth. And it's been a journey of me kind of evolving into it. But like I shared also, I still don't feel comfortable sharing some of those things with my family. And maybe that's a call to me to be like, okay, if you're being your authentic self, should I say, should I be like, hey, guess what I'm doing? I'm doing this podcast with Melissa and Jake, and I think they're phenomenal, spiritual teachers, and you got to listen to it. I say to all my friends, but I'm not calling up my super Christian aunt. Hey, guess what? She'd be like, you're going to hell. Okay, thanks. Bye. Like,
Okay, awesome.
great. We all
But
are.
I also think, like, I went through something. I mean, I'm going through the same thing.
Yeah.
You're further ahead on the curve than I am with it. But at the same time, to be authentic, we're being authentic of, this is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I love who I am, but we don't have to force anybody else to love who we are,
Yeah.
and it's a difficult place to be there in I love me,
Yeah.
even if you're not okay with that, because my value of me is what is important. What I'm doing isn't hurting anybody. It's not
Yeah.
taking away from anything, but there's such a liberation, as I'm sure you're finding, to just feel good about being who you are at this time within yourself.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Go ahead.
it's literally, like, it's so funny too, because as we're all talking, it just, like, popped into my head, like, your most authentic self is not your most agreeable self.
Right?
Being authentic
Yeah.
does not mean that you're agreeable,
Yeah.
because I think that it can be easy, when we are doing self-help, and especially, I would
Mhm.
even argue that, we are still in an age where people don't necessarily always go outward with their issues or go outward with their concerns, as far as, if they're reading a self-help book, or maybe we're in a
Mhm.
workshop setting and we're talking about authenticity, and if they're finding that they're not meshing with certain things, and they find that the context of the discussion really seems more of, striving to become an agreeable version, that
Mhm.
is not, going against the grain of the rest of us, and I think that can really make us feel like we are, again, really just polishing off and making a mask that we wear a little bit more pretty. you
Mm.
know we might like it. It might be a little
Right.
bit agreeable to us, but it's still not us.
Mm-hmm.
being authentic is really just being very transparent with, how you're feeling, where you are right now on your path, authentic about who you want to be surrounded by, what you don't want to be surrounded by, and just not inhibiting yourself to speak your truth about what is not working for you or what is working for you.
Mm-hmm.
To have dialogue about things that you dream about and love and are very excited for. And if you are finding that you have mistakenly done a lot of your self work around becoming a version of yourself that you were thought that you had to be, or that
Mm.
you were kind of taught that you had to be, this is a really great time to do a check in, especially, in this beautiful spring weather. We are waking up from hibernation. So, I mean, we are doing a lot of things in the background that are peeling back these layers. Ask yourself, do a little bit of a Barbara Walters interview with yourself. I always say, like, get out a pen and paper and write down questions, big
Yeah.
questions that you would ask, if you were interviewing a celebrity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What do you like, what do you not like? Do check-ins with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We absolutely have to make that important, and we have to normalize that. And I think that also, on top of that, spend more time alone.
Yes.
Spend more time alone. When we're always with other people, we're always with um we're maybe always with a loved one, or always with a partner, always with a
Mm.
friend. Instead of being alone, we don't always have time to, number one, unplug and recharge, and
Yeah.
number two, just be in your own space to kind of refamiliarize yourself with where is my energy,
Mm-hmm.
how do I feel, who am I, who the hell am I in this whole story right now,
Yeah.
and who do I want to become. It has to be flexible. We're not definite creatures. We have to be, we have to have a little mystery, lovies. We have to be a little bit explorative.
I also like Melissa's point. Like it also comes down to self-worth and loving
Yeah.
yourself and truly loving yourself and loving the version that you currently are. And I think a lot of people have a hard time with, I love myself. I love myself. I am enough. I am enough. And like to Jake's point, when you don't allow yourself to have space with yourself, it's almost like you're getting your self-worth and your validation from the person you're always with, when really the validation needs to come from within, and maybe your connection with source or divine, or just maybe just within your inner power within, and truly loving the version that you currently are. I mean, I think that's something that I know I've had to work on for many years, and like writing on the mirror, I love myself, I love you, looking in the mirror, I love you, I love you, and really looking at your soul and be like, I love you.
Yeah, and not
I
having a
am
judgment.
right. And I'm a recovering people pleaser.
Huh.
You know, I am
Yeah.
recovering because I am still working on it. My life, you're taught to be nice and, help others, do for others,
Yeah.
which I think is all really important. But nobody gave me the other half
Yeah.
of that, which is, but don't sell yourself
Yeah.
short. Don't become something you're not in order
Mm-hmm.
to please somebody else.
Yeah.
Because when you are in your truth, my favorite bosses in my life have been those who I know exactly how they feel. I know when I'm doing a good job, and I know
Yeah.
when I need to improve, because they'll be honest with me with that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that honesty is being authentic. You can still be nice, but being nice is, hey, this doesn't work for me. This is what I need. This is what I like.
Yeah. You can sandwich it. Compliment, negative
Mhm.
compliment.
Right.
Yeah. And then even like a part of that honesty too as well, because I know in a lot of instances, like if we say, okay, what is my authentic self, or what do I want to be doing
Yeah.
in this journey that would be authentic to me? And let's say it's, I want to teach, or I want to have a social media presence as a healer, something like
Mm-hmm.
that. But you're also somebody that has social anxiety, so you have an incredibly hard time maybe
Yeah.
getting in front of the camera or presenting your body of work. You know that authentically that is something that you're passionate about, but you also know at this moment in time that you are having a little bit of an instance where we have to find a tool or a method to work through that, to hold that space
Mm-hmm.
and kind of find ways to gently ease yourself into that. So just because you know what you want to do ideally in your path does not necessarily mean that you are actively disobeying your authentic truth,
Yeah.
because you are a little bit limited in what you can do right now. It's
And
all
it
at a
could
baby's pace.
and it could also be trying to figure out like how to use your voice and how to really shine through your personality and your authentic self. And maybe you don't want to be like, I know I'm sarcastic. Maybe I don't always want to present myself as sarcastic. There are different, we're saying being your authentic self, but we do have layers to our personality. We have
Yeah.
layers to our authentic truth. We have layers to who we truly are. And like we've all said in this, is that we're not the same version of ourselves as we were yesterday. I mean, we're going to strive our best to be authentic and to speak our truths to the best of our abilities. But it's curious that how do we want to, I don't want to box myself in. So I know that I have in the past boxed myself in and maybe have presented myself in a way, but I've had to pivot and shift that, and
Mhm.
I'm okay with the fact that I'm okay to change my mind. I'm okay to
Yeah.
change my mind, unless you're going to
I
say
think
something.
that's a big thing of you have this idea, this is how I feel, this is what I want, and then you get it and you're like, what the hell
Mm-hmm.
am I thinking?
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to be like, you know what? Congratulations for trying. This felt aligned in that moment,
Yeah.
but yeah, let's switch to something else.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think, again, with how we show things to people, it's not that you're not being authentic by saying, hey, this is everything about me, but
Yeah.
you're not hiding or lying about it either if it's approached or if it's brought up.
That's a good point.
And yes, absolutely. And oh fuck, I'm missing my train of thought. Oh, so and then oh no,
Left
no.
the station.
Chugga, chugga,
Find
choo.
it, get it, grab it.
Oh, no. I feel like they're playing like the Oscar music, trying to like rush
I
me off the
know.
stage.
Go. All
No,
right,
no.
guys, we're being,
Um.
it's Rachel did a countdown. That's why they're being rushed off the stage.
Oh goddamn. Oh, it was really good.
No,
Uh,
it will come back. It will come back. Take a minute, take a breath. Go ahead.
and oh, you
It's
were the
back.
only person that defines yourself. You were the only person that gets
Yes.
to say who and what you are in this life. And
Yes.
you are always reserved the right to revisit that and to reintroduce yourself into the world. I don't even care if it's every 6 weeks. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. That's nobody's business but between you and your
Yeah.
God. And I think it can be very easy, especially like let's even just say like our community, as a healer,
Yeah.
it's very easy to treat yourself like a used car, like you have to sell yourself and that you have to
Be a
highlight these
sleazy
specific
salesperson.
quality. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
even just like, in my personal experience, a lot of time in my early career, a lot of my opportunities to present myself on a public platform would be to use angel work, for example.
Yeah.
But I know now in this point in my life that I do several other things and
Yeah.
that my truth reflects several other different sides of me that I would much rather prefer to showcase. And then you can spend a lot of time to try to like backtrack yourself or almost to kind of like recorrect that framework. Oh my God, I'm so obsessed with her. So it's we always reserve the right to revisit, repackage, rebrand. Being authentic is simply just being very transparent with what you are, where you are
Yeah.
right now, and not apologizing.
And I think also don't box yourself in. Like
Yeah.
we have many, facets to our personality and to who we are as a person, and also many different like things that interest us and light us up. Like,
Yeah.
I like talking to you guys about golf, and that may not let you guys up, but I like it, and that's okay.
And I
And
love that you love it.
I'm learning to love it. And but it's also like, I mean, it's very interesting. You brought up about being a spiritual, we're in the community. I just did an interview with a lady yesterday on Friday, and I was like, I'm not sure how to introduce you. She's like, girl, don't limit me. Like, I am who I am. Like, and
Mhm.
she's super, super supremely talented. And I was like, thank you. Because even I'm like, I'm a healer. Like,
Right.
whatever. You don't need to know all my certificates and all of that stuff. Authentically to my core is I'm here to help heal people,
Right.
and that's being my authentic self. Do I need to sit here and say, guys, I'm a certified crystal reeler, I'm a master instructor, blah, 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 blah? No, I don't. But anyway, anything else you guys want to add before we wrap this up as our Oscar music is now playing us off? Melissa.
Just be you, love
Be
you.
you.
And, like Jake said, really spend time with those
Yeah.
questions of yourself and don't be afraid of the answers.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid if you're like, wow, yeah, I didn't like that about me.
Mhm.
And then how do I change it? And it's okay if you're not sure. You can ask for,
Yeah.
there's lots of healers in the community.
Yeah.
How do I change this part about me? I'm ready.
Yeah. And there's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with being uncomfortable. There's nothing
Absolutely.
wrong with being uncomfortable. That's when you're really going to find the beauty in self.
Right.
Is when you
100%.
Those
when you
aha
move out of
moments.
that, then you're like, oh, yes. Well, thank you everyone for listening, and we will see you all in the next episode. Thank you guys.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.